Good afternoon and welcome to African News and Voice of the People TV. I am Fina Okechukwu. We'll begin in Ghana, where the Patriotic Party, NPP, the National Council, has offered endorsement to Dr. Matthew Oko Prempeh as running mate for the party's presidential candidate in the upcoming December 7th election. Dr. Prempeh, who currently serves as a Member of Parliament for the Manyia South and Minister of Energy, was nominated by unanimous decision during a meeting of the party's top decision-making body. The announcement was made by the NPP's General Secretary, Justin Frimpong Koda, following a press briefing in Accra. He highlighted that Dr. Prempeh's nomination aligns with Article 13, Paragraph 3 of the party's constitution and represents a pivotal moment in the party's preparation for the 2024 general elections. Dr. Prempeh expressed humility and gratitude upon receiving the endorsement, stating that he is honored to be nominated by the esteemed flag bearer, noting that the nomination is part of God's plan for his life, emphasizing his commitment to the party's principles. Mr. Kodwa underscored Dr. Prempeh's extensive political experience, leadership qualities, grassroots mobilization skills, and unwavering integrity as assets that will strengthen the NPP's presidential ticket. The party plans to officially introduce Dr. Prempeh to the public at the Prempeh's Assembly Hall in Kumasi on Tuesday, 9th of July 2024, setting the stage for a robust engagement with the Ghanaian electorate ahead of the election. Meanwhile, former First Lady Lodina Mahama has called upon women to take a leading role in promoting peace and unity before, during, and after the upcoming December elections in Ghana. Addressing the Women's Ministry of the Evangelical Presbyterian Church in Ho during the Thanksgiving service, marking its 40th anniversary, Mrs. Mahama emphasized the critical importance of avoiding violence and conflicts, especially in this election year, affirming that historical evidence shows women and children suffer the most in times of electoral violence. She further underscored the significant role women play in society, extending beyond traditional roles to include fostering peace and driving development. Highlighting the achievement of Ghanaian women who have broken barriers and achieved prominence, Mrs. Mahama mentioned trailblazers such as Ghana's first female Speaker of Parliament, Joyce Adeline Bamford Addo, and Professor Jane Nana Opoku Agimeyan. She pointed that these women as inspiration for young girls and women, demonstrating that determination and resilience can lead to remarkable accomplishments in life. In a press conference held in Accra, the National Democratic Congress (NDC) has strongly criticized Chief Justice Gertrude Saki Tokornos and her recommendation of judges for appointment to the Supreme Court, calling it unconstitutional. According to the NDC General Secretary Fifi Fiavi Kwete, the Chief Justice later to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo proposing 5 new judges for the Supreme Court is illegal and without legal effect. Cortez has stated that the Chief Justice's actions violate the Constitution and disregard established norms governing judicial appointments to the nation's highest court. The judges named in the Chief Justice's recommendations include Justice Afia Asere, Justice Edward Amoako Asante, and others involved in significant legal cases. The NDC demanded that President Akufo-Addo cease any plans to appoint additional judges to the Supreme Court immediately. They insisted that future appointment must strictly adhere to the constitutional processes, including consultation with Judicial Council and parliamentary approval. Furthermore, the party called for transparency in the selection criteria and process used for nominating judges, emphasizing merit, experience, and integrity over political considerations. Kenyan President William Ruto announced on Friday a pledge to cut spending by 177 billion shillings, equivalent to $1.39 billion for the fiscal year that started in July, following weeks of nationwide protests that led to scrapping of planned tax hikes. To address the budget shortfall of 346 billion shillings, the government will increase borrowing by 169 billion shillings. The protests, which began peacefully before turning violent, have posed the biggest challenge to Ruto's two-year presidency. Human rights groups have documented hundreds of arrests and at least 39 deaths linked to the government's response, raising concerns about potential decline in civil liberties. In a televised address, Ruto projected Kenya's budget deficit at 4.6% of GDP for the 2024-2025 financial year, up from an earlier estimate of 3.3%. To achieve the spending cuts, Ruto announced the dissolution of 47 state corporations, a 50% reduction in the number of government advisors, and the suspension of all non-essential travel by public officials. Still talking the way of cutting governance in Kenya, President William Ruto announced radical measures to enforce tough austerity measures in government. Ruto made the decision on Friday during the State of Nation address at State House in Nairobi. The measures have claimed the existence of 47 state corporations, but President Ruto said the parastatals with overlapping mandates will cease to exist immediately. The parastatals have been cited as loss-making while gobbling up billions of taxpayers' money. However, thousands of civil servants could lose their jobs under this government trajectory to wind up the state agencies. The National Treasury had established a high-level fiscal risk committee tasked with evaluating and reporting on fiscal risks originating from state corporations, agencies, and government authorities, SAGAs. The committee recommended that 47 state corporations with overlapping will be dissolved and their mandate transferred to ministries and state agencies, while some state corporations be merged, while others should be scrapped totally. You're watching African News on Voice of the People television. More stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still the African News and Voice of the People television. Ethiopia is experiencing a severe internal displacement crisis, with 4.5 million people forced from their homes, primarily due to conflict, according to a recent report by the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA. The Somali, Oromia, and Tigray regions are the most affected, with many individuals displaced for prolonged periods. Over half of the internally displaced persons, IDPs, have been uprooted for more than a year, with 23% displaced for 2 to 4 years and 11% for 5 years or more. While efforts since January 2022 have enabled the return of 3.3 million IDPs, the total number remains high due to ongoing conflict and climate crisis. The report underscores the need for sustained support, durable solution, and robust monitoring system to address this significant humanitarian concern in Ethiopia. Zimbabwe has received $31.8 million from the African Risk Capacity ARC and African Union Initiative as an insurance payout for the for the El Nino, I beg your pardon, El Nino induced a drought that devastated the country. Finance Minister Mutuli Nkumbe announced the funds in Halari, noting that the government has also approved a food distribution strategy to support those in need. The ARC payout aims to benefit 509,000 households with $16.8 million directly received by the government, $16.1 million allocated to the World Food Programs to assist 200,000 people, and $8.9 million given to a local aid group. The government estimates that over half of Zimbabwe's 17 million people will require food aid until March, as the drought has significantly reduced the corn harvest to 744,271 tons, nearly 70% less than the previous year. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe is moving towards the dollarization, with President Mnangagwa stressing the instability of relying on foreign currencies, particularly those from countries with negative views towards Zimbabwe. The introduction of the Zimbabwe gold Z currency marks a crucial step in this direction. Once stable and widespread, the Z will facilitate a full transition away from the US dollars, promoting confidence in the local currency. Speaking at the commissioning of a fruit juice and water processing plant, President Mnangagwa highlighted the nation's potential for self-sufficiency. The plant, capable of producing 16,000 liters of juice daily, reflects Zimbabwe's progress and alignment with its nation-building philosophy. The president urged the promotion of local products over imports, particularly at events like the upcoming SADC Industrialization Week. Vice President Constantino Chiwenga and other officials reinforced the commitment to leveraging natural resources for industrial development and economic empowerment. Still in Zimbabwe, Mr. Nkululeko Sibanda, CEO of Tosolosho Rural District Council, and Dr. Brighton Malandule, Finance Executive, have returned to their position after a suspension in December over abuse of office allegations. Approved by the Ministry of Local Government and Public Works, their reinstatement was confirmed by Council Chairperson Rufus Ndlovu. The suspension followed the arrest by the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission (ZAC) for allegedly misusing public funds in a borehole drilling contract. Released from the remand, they resumed duties last month without losing any benefits. Meanwhile, the council is in the final stages of hiring a new internal auditor following the resignation of Mr. Lovemore Ndlovu in January. ZESA Holding is involved in a dispute with workers over non-payment of COVID-19 and cost of living adjustment allowances (COLA) to more than 6,000 workers. The workers' representatives claim the power utility has not paid what is due to the workers despite several written promises to do so. This has forced the workers through the Zimbabwe Energy Workers Union (ZEWU) and Energy Sector Workers Union of Zimbabwe (SWUS) to confront the management. However, Dr. George Manayaya ZESA Holdings, a spokesperson, says that power utility had communicated with the employees and will start paying on Monday. Recall that in a letter dated June 13, 2024, to the ZESA Executive Chairperson, Dr. Signy Gata, ZEWU and SWUS jointly asked the utility to pay the outstanding fees as promised, to which the company responded to on June 14, 2024, promising to pay by June 21st, 2024. However, Mr. Martin Hinkoni, General Secretary of ZEWU, and Constantine Rusasi, General Secretary of SWUS, on June 13, 2024, jointly said that they are extremely disappointed by the management's refusal, failure, or unwillingness to pay employees their January and February 2024 COVID-19 allowance arrears, despite having committed in writing to do so before the end of May 2024 and further assurance, hence the industrial action. You're watching the African News and Voice of the People TV. More stories in business and sports after the break. Stay with us.
Catch up with the latest topics making the buzz, the stories that tick, the trends. Let's let you in on why they are trending, from politics, entertainment, business, lifestyle, and more. Analyzing the trending stories with top eyeballs. Hashtag on Voice of the People Television, giving you an insight to everything and everyone Nigeria is talking about. Showing on VOP TV, 10 p.m. Monday to Friday. Hashtag if it's trending, we bring it on.
Thank you for staying with us. It's still the African News and Voice of the People TV. Moving on to business. Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa said that the nation's new billion-backed currency will be the sole legal tender before the 2030 deadline to end the current multi-currency system. The change would mean that US dollars, now using more than 80% of transactions, would no longer be allowed. Recall that last October, Mnangagwa extended dollar use by 5 years until 2030, and a move meant to allay growing concerns about the looming currency policy changes. Mnangagwa was speaking at an event on Thursday in the border city of Mutare, where he officiated over the commissioning of a fruit juice and water processing plant, stressed the importance of the ZiG, the short for Zimbabwe gold, replaced US dollars. However, Mnangagwa also noted that when the ZiG is available in every part of the country, in all denominations, including small coins, then him, as the president, would declare a monocurrency regime, which is the ZiG. The ZiG is the nation's sixth attempt in 15 years to have a functioning local currency. Launched in early April, it's backed by 2.5 tons of gold and $100 million in foreign currency reserve held by the central bank. After the collapse of the defunct Zimbabwe dollar helped drive demand for US dollars as citizens fled exchange rate volatility in favor of hard currency. But before the 2030 comes, ZiG might be the Zimbabwe monocurrency. In sports, Fatima Zahra Gardadi is set to make her Olympic debut in Paris, undeterred by the challenge ahead, having switched to marathon running in 2019. Gardadi qualified for the 2024 Olympics by securing third place at the World Athletics Championship in Budapest, training in Marrakesh under her husband, Mustafa El Houdadi. The 32-year-old Olympic preparations began promisingly with a second-place finish at the Xiamen Marathon in China, clocking 2 hours, 24 minutes, 12 seconds. Gardadi, the first Moroccan woman to win a marathon medal at the World Championship, aims to secure an Olympic medal and make her country proud. She faces stiff competition from East African athletes who have historically dominated the events. Still in sports, the Tunisia Taekwondo team is ramping up its training in preparation for the Paris Olympic Games with high hopes for medal success. Among the strong contenders is Mohamed Khalil Jendoboy, a silver medalist in the 58 kg category from Tokyo, who currently holds the top world ranking. Assistant coach Hachim Jendoboy expressed optimism, stating, after training in Saudi Arabia, the athletes have returned to Tunisia to continue their preparation in armament for both the African Games in Accra, Ghana and the Paris Olympics. African champion Shiai Man Tommy highlighted the significance of their achievement, stating Tunisia's success in qualifying for taekwondo players for Paris has earned them recognition from the International Taekwondo Federations. That is a wrap on African News on Voice of the People TV. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are at Voice of the People TV. And all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Join our subsequent news bulletins at 4 and 9 p.m. respectively. I am Fina Okechukwu. Do have a wonderful day.